The North of 40 Club is now open. We're redefining and simplifying health after 40. If you've found yourself frustrated, confused, and overwhelmed by the nonstop Google searches and coming up empty-handed, if you're confused and frustrated by the contradicting information, join us in the club where we have a community to discuss things with your symptoms with. We've got a growing library of Pilates and yoga videos that you can have access to 24/7. Monthly masterclasses to teach you about what WTF is going on with your body, plus a monthly Q&A where you can come in with questions and get straight answers to your questions, minus the Google searches. Book clubs where we recommend books monthly and discuss it based on what your needs are, what stands out to you. Community of like-minded women to support you through all of this. And nonstop resources and discounts to wellness tools, applications, and everything you need going forward as we age north of 40. Plus, it has to be fun, so we've got games and prizes and giveaways for everyone's participation and excitement within the club. This is only $33 a month right now, so I would hop in. You get a 7-day free trial to hop in, check it out, see if you like it, see if it works for you. On top of that, you will be learning as I learn, because as I go through my naturopathic doctor program, I will be sharing what I learn as it relates to longevity for women north of 40, to our brain health, and to our hormones, which are all huge and important factors. So join us in the North of 40 Club. Find the link below or find it on the website, nataliesayeswtf.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of WTF Happened in My Body. I am your hostess, Natalie Garay, and I'm here with Karen Sullivan, functional medicine nutritionist out of Port Jefferson, New Jersey. Thank you, Karen, for joining me. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. We're actually in New York, actually.
New York?
Uh-huh.
Why did I think New Jersey? In my mind, I just kept saying New Jersey.
No, New York, New Jersey. You know, New Jersey's right next to us, so it's all good.
New York.
New
Port
York.
Jefferson, New York.
Yeah.
And the owner of the Wellness Stop in Port Jefferson, New York. So, Karen, I want to hear from you about your work and how you got started and what you're doing there in the Wellness Stop. And Luna's going to chime in as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, isn't that always the way? So before I tell who I am, it's so funny because I have 4 labs at home. I have 4 black labs. And literally, like if I'm working from home, every single time I get on the phone with a client or I get on Zoom, my one lab starts barking and moaning in the background because mama's not paying attention.
She does it
That's what's going on.
Stop in a second.
Correct. Mama's not paying attention. So, yeah. So, thank you for introducing me. My name is Karen Sullivan. I'm the owner and founder of the Wellness Stop. We opened in April of 2024. We have a brick and mortar location at 146 East Main Street in Port Jefferson, New York. For those that don't know where Port Jefferson is, that's like in the middle of Long Island. So we're like 2 hours east of Montauk and 2 hours like west of New York City. So we're right smack in the middle of Long Island, but part of New York. We're right on the water. We're very close to Connecticut. There's the Port Jefferson Bridgeport Ferry. So just to give people kind of some landmarks of kind of where we're located. So we have the brick and mortar here. I'm a certified functional medicine nutritionist and a coach, and the store really is an extension of what I do. We create a lot of wellness products here in the store: skincare, body care, stress management, books, meal prep items with less plastic in and on the body, aluminum-free deodorant, you know, a little mix of everything. We have some eco-friendly gifts, some really beautiful gifts when it's gift giving or we just want to give something to ourselves, which, you know, I do that all the time.
But
yeah, so I've been coaching now for about 15 years. I'm 56 years old, a mom of a 22-year-old, soon to be 23-year-old. And I've been married now 31 years together, 39 with the
Wow.
same guy. Yeah, long time. Trying to think. Sorry. We've been together since I was
With the
17.
same
Like
guy.
I had to think for a second. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, so I'm also a thyroid cancer survivor. Got cancer at 29, so 27 years now, cancer free. Um, Getting into functional coaching and integrative care of my own body really, really, really started at the age of 39 when the bottom fell out. Um,
Mhm.
I literally was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, insomnia, couldn't sleep, just felt like complete shit, just really bad. And that whole process of kind of going to my traditional doctors and being told I need to go on blood pressure medication and Xanax.
Oh
And
gosh.
I was more freaked out about the blood pressure medication than I was about the Xanax at the time. And I remember saying to my doctor, I'm like, don't you want to know? Like, I'm 39. Like, I shouldn't have high blood pressure. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And he was like, well, that's just how it is. Like, your parents had it. And I was like, no, no, no. I was like, I'm not taking that. So that literally was the beginning of me like looking for a naturopathic physician and really taking a deeper dive into the internal clock of my body and what was out of whack.
Mhm.
Then probably about a year or two into that process, I was like, oh my God, I need to help other people. I need to tell people what this is.
Yeah.
So I quit my corporate job and I went back to school at like 40 and, went to my first coaching school. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
My
I def
son 6, right? I had my son at 34. And now that I look back, I think what happened was because I think I had a hormonal imbalance
Yeah.
probably my whole life. And then once my thyroid was taken out, again, not knowing what I know now, that's literally like a three-legged stool and removing one of the legs without a thyroid.
Mhm.
So bad to take it out. So I think doing that at 29 and then really, like I said, it got really bad at 39, had a baby at 34. I think my hormones just never really like went back up again to the level that they needed to kind of be stable.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And so, I really started diving into HRT back then. And again, just removing food allergies, food sensitivities, and just going into that space. And then started working for an integrative functional physician here in New York for about 6 years. And then realized when I went into that practice, helping that doctor take care of their patients, I realized like, ooh, I really need to go back to school again and really level up my knowledge.
Mhm.
So then went to the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy for 2 years, trained there, graduated again in 2019. I got to tell you, Natalie, I don't even know how I did that. Like and I know you understand this because that's what you're doing now. I have no like recollection of any of it. Like I went to school, that was like 25 hours a week of work, full time, worked 50 hours a week
Oh my gosh.
still had a young child at home, which around that time also got deathly sick with Lyme disease.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I don't like, there's probably like 2 or 3 years that I literally like, I don't know where I was. I was just going through the motions of everything. And, I graduated from school, which is fantastic. Did that. And yeah, and then basically now, fast forward to now, I just felt like I love coaching, but I wanted a place for people to come and gather. And I wanted a community resource and support system. So
Yeah.
people can come in the door, say hello, learn what we do, but then be like, hey, do you have the name of like a really good gynecologist, that will prescribe hormones? Well, yes, I do. Do you have the name of a good functional physician? Do you have the name of a good dentist? Which again is the reason why, we'll talk about the workshops and stuff, but
Yeah.
I want it to be very community centric and community driven
Yeah.
and you're in this space too of helping as many women and families and people as we can.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And yes, my story is pretty similar, although I didn't necessarily have the health experience that led me to it. It was mostly my mom, and my journey was because I wanted to, you know, avoid that as much as I could. So taking a deep dive into it. So you discovered, or you learned, that you had thyroid cancer at what age? 29?
I was 29.
Yeah.
So here's also what I think is that, so my brother passed away in 1992 from HIV, and I think that was the beginning of my thyroid going out of
Mhm.
whack
Yeah.
because of losing him. He was 39 when he passed. I think that literally was the catalyst. Like that was like the first like little nuclear bomb that was dropped into my body. And that's when my thyroid really went out of whack. So
Yeah.
I think it was stress and hormones. And then I just kind of limped along. And I was going to a traditional endocrinologist. They were doing all the sonograms, the needle biopsies, because I had nodules all over my thyroid. And again, just being totally naive and not knowing anything about integrative medicine. My doctor at the time, I had been monitored probably for about 7, 8, 9 years, something like that by then. He was like, you know what? I think we should just take the thyroid out. And I was like, okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because we don't
I
know.
was young. I was young and like naive and just not like, just very trusting to the community, to the medical community. And I was like, okay. And then I remember going right up before I went under surgery. I remember the surgeon saying, okay, listen, I need you to sign this paper that basically says like, we're going to do pathology when you're under, when we get you cut open and we're removing everything. And if we find cancer, we're taking out the whole thyroid. And apparently they found cancer, right? So prior to that, all the diagnostics did not lean in that direction. It
Right.
wasn't saying cancer. So once they put everything into pathology and did all the, frozen slides and sections and all of that, then they found cancer cells. So they took the whole thing out. And I woke up 6 hours later and they were like, yeah, we had to take your whole thyroid out because you have cancer. And I was like, wow. So that was another blow to the system.
Yeah.
um, did a dose of radiation, swallowed the radioactive pill, which that was really interesting and fun, and did that. Yeah. And then had to then learn how and really learn on my own, a lot of trial and error, because again, it was like, that was 1999, 2000, again, nobody was talking functional med, integrative med back then,
Right.
especially here in New York, right?
Yeah.
Arizona, California, yes, but not so much. Maybe even like up in Washington, but not so much in New York. So I totally had to like learn on my own, like
Yeah.
how to repair and rebuild my body, without a thyroid.
Right.
Um, I got pregnant at 34, which was awesome with no thyroid. But again, I just think that, it was definitely a big lift and a weird journey back then. But I wouldn't change any of it for the world. Like I'm
Right.
grateful for every piece of it. I'm grateful for every single stinking piece of it.
Yeah, because you learned a lot, like you said, and the experience brought you to where you are. Was
Yeah.
there talk of hormone replacement therapy then when the thyroid came out?
No. Well, I mean, I went on thyroid medication, right?
Ye
Obviously,
Right.
have been on thyroid medication since then consistently. I take levothyroxine. I have to take that forever. But the other thing that I teach my clients is like, okay, you could be on levo or synthroid, whatever works for your body. Took synthroid for a very long time and actually found out that levo works better for my body than synthroid. I think in my case, the reason why I get better response from levo is because there's less fillers and additives in levo than there is synthroid. So I take that, but I also take compounded
Yeah.
thyroid hormone that's
Okay.
compounded in a compound pharmacy here in New York. So I take both because I need T3. And that's a lot of things. That's a thyroid hormone, T3 that women don't really know about. They don't even know that their bodies are converting properly. Are they converting properly? So that's another thing, again, that I learned and what T3 was and the conversion and why it's so important. Yeah. So I take that, every single day.
Right.
Yeah.
And then at one point, did you realize you needed to start taking any other hormone replacement?
At 39, when I thought I was going to kill somebody.
Yeah. So I had a client call it oh gosh, what did she call it? I want to say situational rage, but there was another word she used for it. I can't remember. But
yeah, I'd say that's about right. Yeah. Situational rage is really good. I would go days without sleeping. I had the worst hot flashes, night sweats, sweating, I literally felt like the inside of my body was going to explode.
yeah.
And I remember going to my OBGYN at the time, and I walked into his office, and he's kind of sort of a friend. He delivered my son, and I said, I need hormones. And he said, no, you don't. You're only 39. And I said,
Gosh.
yes, I do. I can feel it in my body. My intuition is telling me that I need hormones. So I need you to write me a prescription for hormones right now. And I am not leaving this office until you write me a prescription for hormones right now. And him and I went back and forth because at that time I had read Suzanne Summers' book called Ageless. And that was like that book was like, you talk about when a light bulb goes off over your head.
Yeah.
I had like 10 light bulbs go off over my head. That book freaking changed the whole trajectory of how I, again, looked at my body. And I said, okay, I said to the doctor, I said, I want bioidentical hormones. And he said, oh, don't start with that. Just don't. I'm not giving you that. It's not FDA approved. It's not this. It's not that. And I said, well, I'm not taking that other stuff. I said, I'm not taking that. I said, I read up about that. And I think I had Suzanne Summers' book in my book. And I pull out the book and I open up the page and I go, look at all the side effects with with Premarin and all that other stuff. I said, I'm not taking any of that. And he said, well, then I'm not giving you hormones. And then I said, okay. And I closed up my book. I put my book back in my pocketbook. I put my pocketbook over my shoulder. And I literally was like, all right, we're done here. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, I'm not coming back here. I said, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. Goodbye. And I literally turned around and I walked right out of the office and I never went.
Gosh.
And I actually found there was a doctor at that time. He's now passed away, Dr. Jonathan Dasha, who was located here in New York. And his name was mentioned in the book. And I called up the office and I was like, I don't know if we even had Google back then. I have no idea. But I did. And I found that doctor and I got an appointment. And then that was literally, I was probably like 40 and I went on bioidentical transdermal progesterone.
Wow.
And that, my God. And I met a woman the other day and she was like, oh, I'm so afraid to take progesterone. I go, don't take it. And you go, progesterone is like natural Xanax.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's going to keep you level and stable so you don't kill anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was talking with somebody about that the other day. I was like, this is why we have all of these, middle-aged women losing their shit in public is because their hormones are out of whack and they really, whether they're true assholes or not, they really can't control it a lot of the time.
No, they can't. They can't. So I am now 2 years out, no period. So I'm 56, 54, the period stopped. I'm on estrogen patch. I'm on oral progesterone. I'm on vaginal estrogen and I'm on transdermal testosterone.
Yeah.
But I had been on progesterone for a very long time. The estrogen has made a huge difference in how I feel. Definitely just calmer. The oral progesterone, I was actually sleeping well before I went on oral progesterone. Oral progesterone is like a game changer. And my doctor prescribes it as an IR, so immediate release. And I take that, and Natalie,
You're out.
literally within 30 minutes, it's like somebody hit me over the head with a sledgehammer. And I'm like, I
I
am
look
out.
forward to that. I'm in that
Oh,
journey right now because I think when you
oh,
and we met in October at the symposium,
yes. Yep.
I, at the time, wasn't experiencing what I'm experiencing now.
Okay.
And last year, when I went to my naturopathic doctor, we looked at my hormones and she gave me some progesterone support. It wasn't the hormone, it was Vitex,
Oh,
Chase.
yeah, yeah. Chase tree. Yep.
Yeah. So I was taking that. And then earlier this year, I started to experience really subtle hot flashes. And then I started to experience the night sweats. And then it got, pretty bad. I was like, what the? I'm like, I'm ripping off the blankets. And the next second, I'm like freezing. I'm putting the blankets back on and all the mood stuff. And I can't remember, I think even we were talking about this at the symposium, and you said, are you pre-diabetes? And I was like, no. And then I get my most recent tests back and they're like, you could be if you, don't do something. I was basically, because my muscle mass has also started to decline. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm in that
Yeah.
process right now
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
looking at the progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. So I want to dive deeper into that because you're so knowledgeable about what each of them supports. And I think that's what is misunderstood and missing too about HRT in general. One, I want to mention and you can talk more deeply about this too, the big study that came out in 2002. And I've been talking about this more so recently as well after that symposium, because I left that symposium going, okay, so when that came out in 2002, that's the year my twins were born. My mom was in her mid 40s. She was already starting to experience those types of symptoms.
Mhm.
Then she was given uh, um, antidepressants as
Yeah.
opposed to looking at her hormones. And then, 5 to 10 years later, she started losing her words and she started feeling a little bit more low and she never got the hormone replacement. And then she was diagnosed with dementia. And then at 66, she died. So
I'm
that
so sorry.
is infuriating, right?
I
Especially
know.
knowing what we know now and with the whole
Oh, I
study
know.
being
I know.
misread, however
Yeah.
that went about, and hence the work I do. So I would love for you to share about why estrogen matters, which is a great book that everyone
Yes.
should read,
Yes.
and what each of these hormones are and do in our body.
Yeah. So, I mean, I, again, being a woman on progesterone, probably for a good chunk of her life, I knew the benefits.
Yeah.
Um, Besides also being like a good anti-aging hormone, because it actually helps prevent accelerated aging. We know that as well with progesterone. Um, when I went into perimenopause 2.5 years ago, again, I knew that I probably needed estrogen, but once I read Dr. Haber's book, read Estrogen Matters, Dr. Blooming's book with Dr. Carol Taber, um, I was like, okay, not only is it important for our sexual health and vaginal lubrication, estrogen, and keeping your vaginal tissue healthy, right? There's all these other benefits of going on estrogen. Okay. So it's like, and no one is talking about that.
No, everything, like, it supports every system in our body, our bone
100%.
health, our
You've
muscle tissue.
got you've got hundreds of estrogen receptor sites in your body. Now, for me, the other light bulb moment when you and I were sitting next to one another at that symposium was when Dr. Mosconi was talking and had two slides on the screen and showed an MRI of a perimenopause brain and an MRI of an estrogen brain. And you would think, right, the logical steps, you would think, oh, the receptor sites are going to be all lit up in a perimenopausal brain because she's still getting a period and still naturally making estrogen. But it's actually the complete opposite effect because the brain goes freaking berserk. All the receptor sites open up. The brain is calling and looking for estrogen, and estrogen never freaking comes. If you think about it in that context, what happens is the body goes haywire. So women like lose their shit
Yeah.
because their bodies are looking for estrogen to level out the brain, the memory fog, word recall, brain fog, all of it. It's all there because there's no estrogen. And then, again, think of estrogen as like the Tin Man with the oil. Like it's the oil for the body. It's very joint protective. Also, estrogen's very cardiac protective. It helps to balance cholesterol. So now when you think about your mom, I don't know if your mom was on a statin, but now, okay, so that's good, but not good because she's still passed at 66.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at, I am very curious now to look at the studies. I would love for someone to do a study to see if there is a direct link between women that have been on statins and not on estrogen replacement to see if they are more susceptible to dementia and Alzheimer's down the road. I mean, all the studies are leaning towards when you hear Dr. Blooming, Dr. Tabrick, Dr. Mosconi, when you hear them talk about how brain protective estrogen is, it's important. And bone,
Yep.
right? So the other thing that a lot of women don't really know is you also need testosterone.
Yeah.
So you need testosterone to protect your bones.
Yeah. And what I thought was fascinating and infuriating at the same time is that it's not FDA approved for women.
No.
And so one of the doctors was talking about it in the M Factor movie about how she, as a urologist, has to use a gel specific for men, but tells you to squeeze out just a tiny bit for women in order for them to be able to administer.
Yeah, and they don't, and right, and they don't even know the dosing. I mean, my testosterone's compounded, so I'm on 1 milligram a day, but no, it's just the complete dysfunction, and it's like a circus. It's like the hormone circus. And some practitioners, it's like herding cats, like just trying to get them on board. It's not an easy task. I think though the landscape is changing. I definitely do. I think that, we're on the upswing, and I know you have, 2 young daughters. So, I have a son, so it's not really going to impact him, but I think for young women, for mothers of young women, you're the trailblazer for your daughters, because you're going to be able to say to them, when they have children or they're going into menopause, you're going to be like, okay, you're going to do this, this, and this immediately. You're not going to suffer, like you're being nailed to the cross for 10 years, because that's really what it is. I mean, women are suffering and just not getting the help and love and support that they need. And, and I tell my clients all the time, like, listen, if you are not being seen and heard and your doctor keeps poo-pooing you when you're there, and they're trying to back it up with something, out of respect for them, you need to say, please show me the study that you're getting that information from. Can you show me the study? And if they pull anything out from 2002, then you know that they really have not done a good job on their side of really getting up-to-date information. And in that instance, you need to find another doctor, unfortunately. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I love hormones. I love being on testosterone. I love being on estrogen. My brain feels great. I'm able to work. I'm able to retain a lot of information. I'm able to remember things about my clients that I need to remember. I'm able to retain phone numbers in my head. It's like, well, my memory is good. My memory is good. My memory is good. So
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I love hormone replacement, but, I do have some clients that don't want to go on hormone replacement, and I completely love and support them too. So we are trying other avenues to try and support the body in the way their bodies deserve to be supported, optimizing D levels. We know that D does some conversions in the body too, to some hormone pathways. Interestingly enough, I think it was Dr. Haber's book that I read So when women are under high stress, right, we're producing copious amounts of cortisol. So did you know that the body will steal progesterone? Okay. So you're producing all this cortisol. So cortisol's jacked. So it needs to try to level the body out. So it takes from the progesterone bank. So what do you think that's going to do to a woman's like insomnia and anxiety?
Yeah. Ages her and just tanks her. Yeah.
Right.
That's,
Right.
I'm
So
pretty,
there's a progesterone steal that's happening all
yeah.
the time with these high levels of cortisol. So, and again, right, all insulin related, all fat storing, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's very, very, very fascinating to me. And I love it, and I love helping a client like move the needle,
Mm-hmm.
and have their light bulb moment. I love that, when it happens. But this is, I think, taking care of your bodies integratively and using other modalities. It's not easy.
No.
It's a lot of work. And you just have to be committed to the process.
Yeah.
To do. So,
It is a lot of work. It does seem like a lot of work and a lot of information to remember, to learn, especially now that we know more and more.
right, right.
Um,
But I tell my clients too, like, and you probably do the same. Like, I say to them, listen, that's not your job to remember. That's my job.
yeah,
That's why you want me on your team, because that's I'm going to help you. So I help bridge the gap between your doctor and what you need. So I'm on the team. I'm on team Natalie. I'm on team Karen. This is not about me. This is about you as the client. So you've got me there to help you weed through the crazy amounts of information that's out in the universe, because we are on information overload.
it's true.
We're on hormone overload. We're on menopause overload. There's so much information out there. Um, and you kind of weed through the credibility of it. So I say to them, like, it's okay. Like, we got this, here's the direction that we want to head, and here's the path that we're going to go on, step by step, one by one.
Yeah,
So,
that's so
yeah.
good. So when you work with someone, what is the, general format of something you walk them through of how
Um,
to support?
yeah, I mean, we work virtually, we work in person. We do an hour-long assessment in the beginning, and then we just start to unpack. I typically will ask them, all right, in the next 30 to 60 days, what are the top 3 things that you want to work on? And we start there, and we have them, and we kind of map out the plan. We have an in-body machine here too in the store. So that's usually literally day one. I get them on an in-body. So then I have data, and then we can crunch the data and see kind of where they're at with muscle composition, visceral fat, weight, what the skeletal muscle mass looks like, especially for my women that are perimenopause, menopausal, because I'll say to them, all right, you want to build muscle, or you're on a semaglutide, which is fine. You need to know kind of where you're at, and, you're killing yourself in the gym, and I'm glad you're going to the gym, but is it really working?
Right. Yeah.
So we get that baseline, and then we usually will scan them about 6 to 8 weeks later, and now we've got data. And then because then the proof's in the pudding, right? Are they really building muscle? Is the visceral fat really coming down? And organically, when you start to do that, the weight falls, and everything shifts in the right direction. But in the beginning, we need that baseline.
Yeah.
Women hate getting on that machine. They absolutely they hate it. And I say to them, don't look. Just don't look at it. That's, this is not, it's a judgment-free zone. I don't care. I don't care what the weight is. I don't care. That to me is so insignificant.
Yeah.
What I care about is keeping you safe and healthy. That's all I care about, and I'm not looking at the number, I mean, right now I'm 135 pounds. Do I want to be a little lighter? Yeah, but I'm more about building muscle and staying strong. I'm into functional mobility now. Like, I want to be able to carry a load of laundry upstairs without falling and without being out of breath.
Yeah, I know. Well,
That's all I care about.
yeah. What does she say, Vonda, right? Strong,
Yeah.
skinny, and
Right. Yeah.
same thing. I always say I want to have my wits and my tits about me when I'm 90. I'm not,
Yes, exactly.
I want to be fully functional and be able to
Yeah,
do it
exactly.
all.
Exactly. I agree 1,000%. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And I tell my clients too, when you feel good and you feel calm, your brain can function better, the productivity at your job gets better, you are calmer at home, you're calmer with your partner, with your kids, you're able to just function better because at the end of the day, you're still going to multitask like a psycho because that's what women do. We're never going to stop doing that because women just multitask. We're running the universe. We are.
Yes.
Some of us are doing it out front and some of us are doing it very quietly.
Mhm.
But women, we're the engine. And I tell them, my husband says, he's like, Jesus, when I got sick with COVID in July, he was like, oh my God. He's like, it's like the world stopped for like 7 days. He was like, I don't even know what to do. He's like, where do we food shop? Where's the laundry detergent?
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, like like it was, and I'm like, yeah, yeah. So
A whole new world.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
This is so good. I'm so glad that you joined me to talk about this. I know we could continue because
I
I
know.
have, we could talk about women's health all the time.
Yeah, well, we'll do it again.
We'll do it again for sure and dive in deeper. Maybe we'll come back and talk about compare stories once I get on my estrogen and progesterone and testosterone.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I mean, it varies for everybody. I think you need a couple weeks to kind of feel the titrated dose kind of go up inside your body. But yeah, I mean, you should definitely start to feel some shifts, probably in about a week or two, 2 to 4 weeks. I felt better within, I'm not exaggerating, probably within like 3 or 4 days after going on estrogen.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I love it.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited too because again, keeping my wits about me during school, I'm coming up on, the 4-year program and still 2 remaining prerequisites, but just sitting in class, I'm like, holy shit, I got to focus here and I got to remember this stuff and,
Yeah,
apply
yeah,
it to my
yeah,
test.
yes.
So
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's good. And, thank God that you're able to kind of think out of the box and again, the work that you're doing is so incredibly important because as you guinea pig yourself, 'cause that's really what I do too, right? As we guinea pig ourselves, we're like, okay, all right, I can hang my hat on this and I can get behind this and feel confident that this is definitely information that I want to share with the community. So it's great. I'm so happy for you.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you again for joining me.
You're welcome.
Share with us where people can find you, your website, your Instagram.
Yeah, so we are on social media, the Wellness Stop PJ. Our website is thewellnessstop.com. So everything's all linked to social on Facebook and Instagram. And then, the website is there too. People can book a free 15-minute call with me if they want. That's all on the website as well. They can DM us, through Instagram. My cell phone number is everywhere.
Yes.
So they can just call, just pick up the phone and call. You just go old school and just make a phone call, which I
Yes,
love. I love,
I love it.
as you can see, I have no issues in talking.
Yes.
So, yeah, just pick up the phone and call.
I love it. Thank you so much. And we'll have everything linked below as well, too.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
people
that's
can
great,
reach out
Natalie.
and find
That's
you.
awesome.
But thank you
That's
again for
awesome.
joining me. And
Thank you so
I'll look
much.
forward to talking with you again.
Okay. All right. Be well.
You too.